Okay, we're here, but not for a quiz. Except you know that, because usually I'm on the other side of the quiz. We're doing something video game related, like we've promised, the top 10 sports video games of all time. How do you kind of come up with that kind of list? There's two of us that kind of help form the list. It's Marissa and I.
Daniel and I came up with a list. A lot of thought went into these games in particular. A lot of criteria needed to go into the list as well.
The rest of the BarDown team, they agree with most of the entries on this list. Like, how is better than Mario Kart?
I wouldn't put it ahead of Madden.
Wii Sports, #1!
They agree with most of the games on this list.
There's always a game that you played or games from different genres that you played growing up that you feel would be the best.
They'll also have the opportunity to give an honorable mention of their own. I can hear you typing away already with what you disagree with, and that's okay. We're here for the discussion. Without further ado,
The top 10, starting with number 10, Madden 2005.
It was the golden age of Madden.
2005, Ray Lewis on the cover. Go Ravens. Madden 05 was a staple in the franchise. I mean, it introduced the hit stick.
Defense wins championship.
finding any way to make defense fun in football is a major win for your gameplay, and the hit stick is easily the most fun addition, I think, that they've ever added to the defensive side of Madden.
It's not even just a nostalgia factor. The 05 game was actually like a better Madden than the ones that are coming out right now. The games were so deep, you could go into off-season owner mode. You could customize just about anything in the game. Everything was just amazing in Madden. There was the mini games that you could play. There was Tony Bruno, where like people would actually call in, "Hey Tony," with like their like horrible voice acting.
Hey, T-Bone, this is one of the best defenders in the league right now, dog.
It's a revolutionary game in the franchise. I'm a little upset it's so low on the list. I wish it was higher up, but we'll deal with it.
Madden NFL 2005.
At number 9,
MVP Baseball 2005.
back before exclusivity kind of ruined sports games a little bit, there used to be MVP Baseball 2005.
It's back in the day when the baseball games were actually still competing against each other.
No other baseball game was doing what this game had. So far ahead of its time.
The mini games, I spent hours just trying to hit dingers. The pitching mini games.
You could send your manager out and you chose how mad he got. If you were actually mad about the calls, you could get your manager tossed out of the game. You have that power in MVP baseball.
It's the best time for baseball. The Red Sox were good and the Yankees were good.
That rivalry was at its peak.
This was like the pinnacle of a baseball game.
It's about the innovation that took place beforehand. The MVP Baseball 2005 is definitely one of those games.
Hey, this is Manny Ramirez.
MVP Baseball 2005.
Number 8.
Wii Sports.
I know what you're thinking. Don't close the video.
I love Wii Sports.
It gets some hate, but like, why? It's so much fun.
Wii Sports is right up there when you're talking about revolutionary games.
Innovation. Innovation. Nobody saw this coming.
Some people say it's a gimmick. They'd be right. But you know what? Video games are about having fun.
It felt like you could be really good at it, but there was also like a really low bar for being good at it, so like everybody could play.
This is the first video game that actually got my Nono up off the couch playing a video game.
At one point, it felt like everybody on planet Earth was playing Wii Sports.
Everyone's experienced Wii Sports.
I'm not one of those idiots who has just sent my controller flying through the TV. Oh. All you idiots, I'm looking at you.
Anybody who disagrees with Wii Sports being on the list, you don't like fun.
Wii Sports is just too like, yeah, we're all having fun and exercising. As you can tell, I have a large frame. I don't agree with exercise.
So number 8, too high. No, like low. You know what I mean.
And now we come to number 7.
Fight Night Champion. This might be one of the most underrated sports games of all time.
All the Fight Night games are great.
Unreal game.
And this is where they elevated and perfected the boxing video game.
Not only does it have like flawless controls, not only did it look incredible, but it also had an incredible story mode, which almost no sports game has managed to actually have.
This is the only game on the list that's M-rated.
You bare knuckle box in a prison for part of it. And the boss battles that they have in it, where it's still incorporating the fight stick, incredible.
Fight Night Champion is still a go-to game for so many boxing fans. EA, please give us another Fight Night.
No.
Number 6 is Gran Turismo 3.
I can't believe you didn't rank this higher.
Pretty sure that it was a requirement that if you had a PlayStation 2, you definitely had at least one of the Gran Turismo games.
I remember when I got a PS2, I still couldn't believe how good the graphics looked on a PS2.
Getting your licenses was stressful. You had those like endurance races and the multi-hour long races.
Gran Turismo is synonymous in the gaming community as the racing simulator.
Of all the racing series that are out there, I think the one that's paved the way for the grand success of console racing games, and I think it influenced a lot of people into actually liking racing games.
Something that this list clearly took into account is like a global scale, not just like, okay, Madden is fun in America. A sport game like Gran Turismo is obviously a massive franchise, not just in North America, but worldwide. So it makes sense that it'd be on the list.
The best racing game of all time.
Number 5, you've been waiting for a hockey game.
NHL 07.
This was when NHL changed forever.
The skill stick.
The skill stick.
The skill stick.
Skill stick?
The skill stick.
The EA Sports Skill Stick.
The introduction of the skill stick is what puts NHL 07 on this list.
NHL 07 is like looking at a game and it's like the saying, like, welcome to the rest of your life.
I feel like it's probably the most intuitive of all the sports games. You move it to the side and your guy also moves a stick to the side.
There was a divide with this game at the beginning. There was the people who were like, this skill stick is too complicated, I'm gonna stay with my button controls. And then there was the people who wanted to evolve like the game was.
It felt like almost every sports game was kind of catching up to what they did. They all wanted to use the analog stick in their own way.
If you want to take a slap shot, you pull the stick back and then you push it forward.
It's weird to play NHL 07's predecessors now.
It pretty much killed out 2K as well.
How can you play the game with circle as shoot and triangle as hit? It just doesn't seem true to hockey anymore.
There's not even an argument on this one.
If you can not only make an entire genre sports game better and on top of that eliminate your competition because your control scheme's really good, yeah, you probably belong on this list.
Number 4 is Tiger Woods 2005.
Tiger Woods, PGA Tour 2005.
I think it definitely deserves to be in the top 10.
The Tiger Woods games were classics.
We still play this in the office.
This is a game I've probably played more than any other game.
The power drive when you're tapping L1. The dramatic cinematic cameras when you had those long eagle shots or those long putts.
You can just be OP Tiger Woods against VJ and Phil.
Another game that used the thumbstick properly.
You had to practice, you had to be really good, and it was fun when you were good.
It almost got too easy by the end with how much we played it when you're dropping like minus 30s over a 4-day tournament.
There are a lot of golf games out there. We had to choose one and it had to go to Tiger.
Tiger Woods, y'all.
Number 3.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Tony Hawk, that brings back memories.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 was number 1 for me.
The game was incredible.
I think that it's the greatest sports game of all time.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is just like took a great skateboard game which hadn't really been done before and just filled in all the gaps that was missing in the first.
I liked playing in the hangar and just doing Japan airs.
This is what got a lot of people that weren't even into skateboarding into skateboarding.
Who didn't want to skateboard after watching that game?
One of, if not the best soundtrack in all sports video games.
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack was amazing.
It really introduced me as a kid to just like different kinds of music.
Put so many people onto skateboarding. Yeah, obviously you want to sell games, but on top of that, I'm sure Tony Hawk has been pretty happy with the fact that he spawned an entire generation of people to like and care about skateboarding, all just from a video game.
One day they're little shredders, and the next day they're grinding and gnashing their way to college.
Number 2.
NBA 2K11.
NBA 2K11.
When you put Michael Jordan on the cover of your game, you're making a massive statement. You're saying the greatest of all time. And NBA 2K11 is the greatest basketball game of all time.
This game was the first like really realistic basketball game.
2K kind of established itself as like, this is the basketball game.
Guys wide open isn't just gonna hit a shot every time. And that was a big thing with those basketball games where just because you could kind of find the glitch in the system, 2K11 was sort of the game that brought realism to basketball games.
All of the Michael Jordan iconic moments that you could recreate. Incredible. You just package that together with what was just just such a well-polished game. The pacing of it actually feels like basketball. You have to run basketball plays. You can't just drive the lane. It did a great job of actually teaching you the fundamentals of basketball and adhering to those fundamentals, and out of it, you actually got a fun game.
There's just so many great ball games.
I think 2K is awesome and it's a lot of fun. I just don't play it that much.
From like NBA Live 95 to like NBA Jam.
NBA Jam, better game.
NBA Street though.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jordan is back.
And once the lives fell off, it was nice that 2K sort of took that mantle and ran with it.
Most people prefer arcade over sim, and yet this sim blended it enough that it was really cool, really fun, and in my opinion, it made NBA 2K11 the greatest basketball game of all time and the #2 sports game of all time.
This ain't over.
At our #1 spot,
And I can already hear you typing.
it's FIFA, and it's gonna be FIFA 12.
It's FIFA 12.
I like this. This is a great choice.
I respect this choice as #1 because I respect the FIFA franchise so much.
It's easily the best-selling sports game in the world.
As far as non-N64 games go, FIFA 12 is hands down my favorite game.
This game was one of the games that really got you to love this series in the first place.
The soccer fans here are fewer and far between, but it's definitely a great game.
That game changed my life as a child.
I still play to this day.
FIFA 12 introduced us to precision dribbling. It wasn't just a gimmick, it actually changed the way you play the game. And most importantly, tactical defending. You couldn't just spam down the B button or the circle button. Now you actually had to think about what you were doing. Entirely changed the pace of how you play that game.
It feels very natural compared to some of the old clunkier mechanics or movements in some of the older games.
It's just such a fun, simple game.
What makes a sports game one of the greatest of all time, and in this case, the greatest? Did it introduce people to the sport? How many people just know anything about soccer just from FIFA?
I didn't like soccer a whole lot growing up after I stopped playing it, but then you play FIFA and then it's like, I'm missing something here.
I think it speaks volumes to that series, that it's that fun, that even in North America, where we make jokes about where you can't use your hands to play the sport, that people are like, yeah, you know what, like, this is kind of the best sports game out of all of the games out.
FIFA 12 really captures how beautiful a game it is, how much fun it can be, and I'm really happy it's #1 on this list.
That's our list. I'm sure you did not agree with all of it.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
NHL 94 got robbed.
And I got some gripes.
Oh man, there's so many.
Mario Tennis Aces, oh my goodness, they're so much fun. Any Mario Tennis game, any Mario Golf game.
You might be wondering why NHL 94 isn't on the list. I do get that its cultural importance, but I don't know if it's the greatest hockey game of all time. But I do recognize its place in video game history. It is definitely one of the top ones. If there was like an extension to the top 15, it would be in that one. It's not on the list of 10.
I'm more into 93, but 94 is probably the better game because that's when they introduced one-timers, which in a sense was the worst thing to ever happen to hockey video games too, because it's the only way to score.
One direction we didn't really go was SSX Tricky. I loved those games so much.
You ever play Big Buck Hunter? That's sick. People should play that more.
NCAA Football 13. The fact that you guys do not have any of these NCAA games on here is an absolute joke, and it really, really bothers me and questions your video game knowledge.
We're gonna put Fight Night on here, but we're not gonna put any wrestling game. I know the games that they come out with now, I haven't bought them in a while because yeah, they're kind of trash, let's be honest. But the games back in the day, so much fun. WWF No Mercy. What are we doing? How isn't that on the list?
Any of the NFL blitzes are incredible for N64.
Wii Sports is my honorable mention at #8. I honor you with the #1 spot.
If you want to drop a top 10 list of your own, do it. It's right there, down in the comments. We want to see it. We want to read it, and it will also just kind of help spark debate for later. Maybe we'll do a follow-up video of some sort to this, so get typing, because I know you're angry.